surface integral, then there we are considering two quantities, electric field and uh, area, and of course area is also vector. So here we are considering two vectors, and and we are considering dot product, right? So uh, to deal with vectors, it is, I mean, it is difficult to deal with vectors. Now on other side you can see we have a volume integration, and this is divergence of E dV, right? And divergence of E is a scalar quantity, right? So that's why, I mean, volume integral is easy to deal with, since we are not dealing with any vectors on this side, because divergence of electric field is scalar quantity, right? So that is advantage of divergence theorem. So using divergence theorem, one can, I mean, write down Gauss's law that we wrote, I mean, above. We can write down, I mean, in this form, and now you can see we can write down divergence of E is equal to rho v epsilon 0, where rho v is the volume charge density, and on this side we have divergence of E. So this last equation is called differential form of a Gauss law. And the first equation, let me tell you, the first equation is called integral form, and the last one is differential form. And this is nothing but first Maxwell equation. Okay, so this is also called the first Maxwell equation. Now this is the, I mean, here we are again considering a problem. So here, using Gauss law, one can compute electric field. Suppose you are given a charge distribution, okay, a sphere of I mean, you consider a sphere of charges, okay, where charge is distributed uniformly over the sphere. Then one can compute electric field outside the sphere as well as inside the sphere using Gauss law. So you can see, I mean, outside the sphere, where the R is here, A is the radius of the sphere. So if you are outside the sphere, that means if you are sitting, or suppose R is greater than A, that means we are sitting outside the sphere. So then electric field is given by, you can see this is the last equation that gives that electric field. So it is Q divided by 4 pi epsilon 0 R square. So it is same as, suppose instead of sphere the whole charge is concentrated at the origin, then the same equation one could have written. Now consider the point which is inside the sphere, right? So when we consider a point inside the sphere, then this is the equation, right? This is the equation which is, I mean, different from the previous one, and you can see both the results were represented graphically in the graph given here. You can see on the y-axis electric field is there, on the x-axis I mean, distance is given. So you can see at the center the electric field is 0, and it is increasing linearly with the size of the sphere. Okay, so electric field is maximum at the center of the I mean, it is 0 at the center of the sphere and maximum at the surface of the sphere, and outside the sphere it falls as 1 upon r, right? It is 1 upon r square. So it falls as 1 upon r square. Potential falls as 1 upon r, and electric field falls as 1 upon r square. Now let us consider curl of an electric field. So let us consider electric field which is I mean, let us consider a region where the electric field is uniform. So we have two different paths. We are considering 2 points A and B, and we want to go from A to B. There are many paths via which you can go A to B. So here we are considering two paths. One can go A to B via C1, path C1, and one can also choose another path, say C2. And let us compute this integral. Okay, so we are considering, we want to move from A to B in the presence of electric field, and we want to compute, whether this integral is path independent or not. So this is the integral one can write down, say A to B via path C1, that is E dot dl. Similarly, you can write down for another path. So here we are considering C1 and C2, and you can take, there are many ways, there are infinite number of ways you can go A to B, but here we are considering two paths, okay, that C1 and C2. And for an electric field, these two are equal actually. So you can see, if you consider closed path, suppose you are moving from A to B, and then if you move B to A. So since the line integral, value of line integral from A to B and B to A both are same, so if you consider complete integration, if you go from A to B and then come back to A, then you can see the total line integral E dot dl is 0. Okay, so E dot dl is 0. E dot dl is 0. So using Stokes theorem, in previous example, while considering Gauss's law, we considered divergence theorem. Here we are considering Stokes theorem. So basically Stokes theorem relates line integral to surface integral. So here this del cross E is called curl of E, or curl of electric field, right? And curl of electric field, this is 0. So we can write down curl of electric field. So this curl of electric field is nothing but, you can say that if the curl of any electric field is 0, then that field is called conservative field. So whenever we consider electric field due to charges, curl is always going to be 0. Okay, when we consider a static case, and so electric field is conservative field. This is nothing but, this is Maxwell's second equation. Now consider scalar and vector potential in electrostatics and magnetostatics. For a given charge distribution, you can compute electric field, and electric field is a vector quantity. Similarly, you can also compute potential. So potential, here we are, let us consider electric field, and we recently, we have seen that the curl of electric field is 0. So once the curl of electric field is 0, you can represent electric field by divergence of gradient of V. Sorry, it is, if your electric field is conservative, if your field is conservative, then you can write down your field as a gradient of some scalar function. Okay, so here that scalar function we are considering scalar potential, and then you can represent that electric field as a negative gradient of V. Okay, this one can do provided our electric field is conservative. Otherwise, you can't define scalar potential. So that's why, one can, given electric field, one can find out potential, and given a potential, one can find out electric field using the equation which is given in the this blue rectangle. So this is electrostatic scalar potential. Later on, we will talk about vector potential in case of magnetic field. Now consider polarization. So here a rough picture of atom is given. So center you can see red and red dots. So it is nucleus and electrons are moving. And suppose if you bring some charge near this type of atom, And here we are considering that these are the outermost electrons which are weakly bound. So of course, I mean, if you bring your atom into the electric field, then you can see there is a separation of charges, and this type of atom is called a polar atom. Now you can see in the previous slide here, the center of nucleus and center of positive charge and center of negative charge coincide. So the total charge is 0 for this particular atom. But in this case, now the center of positive charge and the center of negative charge, they are displaced. So now atom is no more positive. It is called a polar atom. This is the same example. And so once the atom is polar, we can define polarization. And the definition of polarization, it is given. I mean, you can write down polarization as a summation of summation over taking limit. You can define polarization within a given volume, and then you can consider that in the situation where volume goes 0, that means we are considering a very, very small volume. So you can write down polarization. It is also called a dipole moment per unit volume. And in dielectric materials, when your material is placed in electric field, then divergence of E you can write down as rho V plus rho P. Rho V is the same. Rho V is because of the charges, and rho P is because of the polarization. And then we can write down del dot D is equal to rho V, where D is called displacement flux density. And this displacement flux density we can also write down in terms of electric field. You can see here we are considering linear and isotropic materials. So here this psi E is nothing but it is electrical susceptibility, and this epsilon R, we know epsilon 0, it is permittivity of the air, and epsilon R is the relative permittivity of the medium. And so here we are considering linear materials. Actually linear materials, that means this equation P is equal to epsilon 0 psi E, that means polarization is proportional to electric field. So you can say that the material is linear. Linear. Now we can write down potential for the polarization. So you can see this is because of the surface charge density, bound surface charge, and this particular term is because of the bound volume charge. Okay, and so polarization leads to bound surface and volume charge density. So this is about electric displacement that we have already seen, that D is electric displacement. So you can write when you consider dielectric material, then you can write down Gauss's law as a divergence of D is equal to rho F. So this is about electric displacement. Now if we consider magnetostatics, then Biot-Savart law. Using Biot-Savart law, one can compute magnetic field. You can see using Biot-Savart law, one can compute magnetic field. Similarly, Ampere's law, you can also compute electric field. But when to use Ampere's law and when to use Biot-Savart law? Whenever there is a symmetry in the current distribution, then it is easy to carry out. Then it is easy to use Ampere's law in order to find out magnetic field. And here the current we are considering, that is which is enclosed within the Ampere's loop, you can say. So this is Ampere's law. One can also compute differential form of the Ampere's law, just as we did for Gauss law. So this is differential form of Ampere's law, which is also called curl of B is equal to mu 0 J, where J is the current density. this is the third Maxwell's equation, and this is the we can define magnetic flux. Magnetic flux is integral of B dot ds, and unit is Weber. This you can also call it as a Gauss's law of magnetostatic field, and integral form is B dot ds over a closed integral is 0, and then one can find out the differential form, that is divergence of B is 0. The meaning of this is what? This is fourth equation, fourth Maxwell's equation, and the meaning of this equation is what? That there is no magnetic charge, or you can say monopole does not exist. There is no separate monopole exist. Okay, that is the meaning of this divergence of B. Now, because of lack of time, let me complete some of the topics. Here you can see one can using Ampere's law, one can find out the magnetic field inside the conductor carrying a uniform current. So here you can see this A is the radius of the conductor, and so at the zero, at the center, the magnetic field is 0, and it is maximum at the surface of the conductor. Then it falls as 1 upon r. Similarly, for a magnetic field, since the divergence of B is 0, so we can represent magnetic field by vector potential, right? In case of electrostatics, since the curl of electric field is 0, so we can represent it by scalar potential, but in case of magnetic field, one has to define vector potential. So this is all about electrostatics and magnetostatics. Now, magnetization, when we consider, then similarly we can define dipole moment or magnetic moment per unit volume, and which is given by small dm you can write down as this, and for a bound currents you can write down vector potential given by this equation, right? So we have bound surface and volume current density. So this is all about magnetostatics.